people are confusing the House being in recess with the government shutdown. They're two different things, and I don't understand why members of the House who are on TV and speaking and doing these interviews, I don't understand why they're not explaining this to the American people who clearly don't understand what's going on. And Mike Johnson is playing into that ignorance. The House can't go into recess longer than 3 days without the Senate approval. And as far as I can see, the Senate did not approve of the House going into recess for what's been about 6 weeks now. I haven't seen anything online that has shown that the Senate approved the House to go into recess this long. Number one. Number two, why is the House in recess? Let me jog your memory. The House went into recess because Mike Johnson is trying to manage the situation with the Epstein files. The Epstein files are being pushed to come out through various different things within Congress, and it's Republicans, his own party, that are behind trying to get the Epstein files released. Mike Johnson does not want to do that. He wants the Department of Justice and the president, the executive branch, to release the Epstein files on their own will.
We're not going to play political games with this. We've all been very clear and transparent. The House Rules Resolution sets a good standard and requires all credible evidence to be released, and that's exactly where the White House is. There's no, as I've said many times over the last, as I've said many times, there's no daylight between the White House and the House. You have to allow the legislation to ripen, and you also have to allow the administration the space to do what it is doing. The president has said clearly, and he has now ordered his DOJ to do what it is we've all needed DOJ to do for years now, and that is to get everything released. So they're in the process of that. There's no purpose for Congress to push an administration to do something that they're already doing.
He does not want the committees, the oversight committees. Remember, they were going to bring Ghislaine Maxwell up there.
Breaking news this hour, a source tells CNN that the House Oversight Committee could soon subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell, former girlfriend and accomplice to Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell is serving a 20-year prison sentence after being found guilty of conspiring with Epstein to groom and sexually abuse underage girls.
He doesn't want them to do anything in the House dealing with the Epstein files. Okay? He is following orders clearly from the President of the United States. It's clear. It's obvious he's following orders. And the orders are no information is to come out on the Epstein files within the Congress. Only the Department of Justice is to release the Epstein files. Okay? And you might be asking, well, why is that? Why would he want just the Department of Justice? Because he controls the Department of Justice, and hence they will control the information that's released when they release the Epstein files. Mike Johnson put the House of Representatives in recess 2 weeks before the shutdown. The shutdown happened October 1st. The recess happened September 19th. They passed their bill. They passed the funding bill and left Washington, D.C. and left it on the Senate.
Mike Johnson has effectively dissolved the United States House of Representatives because the President of the United States asked him to. That is insane, okay? We have had shutdowns before. We have. We have always been in session during the shutdowns.
We have always been in session during the shutdowns.
In fact, usually, we are in session more often than we had planned for rather obvious reasons. We had something important to do, which was figuring out how to open the government back up again. But now, we haven't been in session since September 19th. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been in Congress now 29 years, and if you told me during any one of those years that between September and November we wouldn't be in session, I would have looked at you like, A, you're insane, or B, something really, really bad happened, all right? I mean, this is when we're supposed to be finalizing the budget. We're supposed to be finalizing the NDAA. We are still working on that and all other things. And effectively, we do not have a United States House of Representatives because the Speaker of the House has decided that we don't really need one.
And effectively, we do not have a United States House of Representatives because the Speaker of the House has decided that we don't really need one right at the moment.
And that undermines everything that we're trying to do in terms of oversight, in terms of legislation, in terms of dealing with the shutdown. We've got the SNAP benefits that are about to expire tomorrow. The president has billions of dollars to go ahead and pay those SNAP benefits, an emergency fund that we in Congress set up that he is choosing not to use. But B, in a crisis like that, the House of Representatives should be in session trying to do something about it.
The House of Representatives, they haven't been in session this whole time. That's why the president has been able to just knock down parts of the White House without anybody stopping him. You know, if the House was in session, somebody would have saw that heavy equipment pulling up to the White House, and they would have did something. Somebody would have did something. They're doing whatever they want with no oversight. There won't be an election in 2028 if they're able to continue doing what they're doing, keeping the House of Representatives, which is us. We send those people to Washington. They are a direct representation of the people. And when you shut that down, it's not a functioning democracy anymore, okay? What you have is an executive branch that's calling all the shots. A king, a dictator. They're doing all of it to avoid what's going to come out in those Epstein files. And the Epstein files are going to come out. There's nothing they can do to stop it. There's many different avenues that this is happening.
Author Michael Wolff has claimed in a lawsuit that First Lady Melania Trump threatened to sue him for over $1 billion in damages if he didn't retract Jeffrey Epstein-related statements he made about her. Wolff said in the lawsuit that Melania Trump's threat to sue came over statements he made to the Daily Beast and in 3 videos published on social media, although he added some statements were incomplete phrases and were taken out of context. The lawsuit came on Tuesday, the deadline set by Melania Trump's lawyer for Wolff to retract statements, issue an apology, and pay damages to his client. Through his lawsuit, Wolff announced his intention to use the legal action to put the president and his wife under oath to answer questions about Epstein. Wolff conducted interviews with Epstein before his death. The lawsuit noted that Wolff never said Melania Trump was involved in any of Epstein's crimes. Among the statements the lawsuit said were true were those saying Melania Trump was very involved in Epstein's social circle, where she met her future husband, and that it was fair to question how Melania Trump fits into the Epstein story. Wolff has published a dozen books, including 4 bestsellers about the president.
You have the Oversight Committee, which is going to do their questioning of Ghislaine Maxwell, and you have some Republicans. They genuinely care about what the Epstein files have in them, and they want them released. They genuinely do.
If we don't take the right side of this issue, it's going to cost us votes in the midterms. People are becoming despondent, they're apathetic. Why would they go vote if they gave us the House, the Senate, and the White House, and the transparency and justice they were promised doesn't happen?
You know, I really like President Trump. I also think he has a great pulse on things, but on this issue, the American people really want to see transparency. It's become one of those basically fractures that is too big to ignore.
Yeah, I just support it because I think there's too much conspiracy theory and it's just better to put light on it.
But then there's a group of Republicans who are completely, they're completely in lockstep with the president and Mike Johnson. And they are trying to hide the Epstein files because they know that the president of the United States is in them, and it's horrible what is going to come out. It's going to bring super duper shame to us. It's going to be the worst thing ever when we finally see the Epstein files. But at least those women will have justice finally, because it was powerful people covering it up. Still to this day, covering it up, sending the House into recess to cover it up, into an unprecedented recess. And then now Mike Johnson is using the excuse of the shutdown to stay in recess. Mike Johnson is using the excuse of the government shutdown to stay in recess.
There cannot be a regular legislative session so long as the government is closed and Americans are feeling so much pain.
There cannot be a regular legislative session so long as the government is closed and Americans are feeling so much pain.
Understand, they are trying to intentionally confuse you with the recess and the shutdown. Wake up.